morning, everybody. Happy Lunar New Year. Can you believe? It's finally here. So the inner city roads, they're probably empty. However, the highways and expressways, they are already starting to fill up with holiday traffic. But guess what? It's the airports that have been the busiest in the last few days, as many people are heading overseas for this very long holiday. Traditions are certainly changing, and the responses are quite different. But whatever new traditions you may be forging, I hope you have a very fun and relaxing holiday. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Monday, January 27th on BEFM 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you're doing well. And by the way, what are you doing right now? How are you spending your holiday? Are you already where you need to be? Or maybe you're heading out right now. Well, these type of holidays, they used to be called the time of the Great National Migration. So in Korean, we say 민족 대이동, with cars pouring out onto the expressways, heading back to their respective hometowns. About 2.14 million people are expected to be using the Incheon International Airport. So we're talking about, yes, arrivals and departures across the entire holiday, and that is the highest figure yet. Around 490,000 are expected to travel in and out of Kimhae. So if you're going abroad, you may need to arrive at the airport way earlier than you think, or maybe you have done in the past. And this is definitely a big change from things before, how things were done previously. This whole idea of family time during the holidays is more about relaxing or traveling with your immediate family and less about the large extended family gatherings where you see relatives that you haven't seen in forever or maybe the past year. So yes, things seem to be changing a bit. One travel site reported a 73% increase in overseas travel demand this Lunar New Year compared to the last year, with people spending about 8 days on average overseas. So even the tradition of 세뱃돈, giving pocket money to people younger than you when they bow to you, well, that has gone remote, with elders wiring the money over. So it's quite different. And one thing I've also noticed, a lot of people dressing their kids up in like hanbok and like taping it, right? And then sending like a clip of it to their respective elders so they can get that 세뱃돈 remotely. Another big trend is 혼설, or spending the holiday alone. So this goes in line with there being more people living alone in general, which now accounts for 35% of the population. So the younger population says this is more of a choice to see their friends, to spend time alone, and even just rest at home. Well, of course, there is a bit of sadness at being unable to see their family. So whether you're spending this time alone or with your family or even your chosen family, meaning not blood related, but they're like family to you, I am definitely we're all wishing you a very happy Lunar New Year holiday. And now, for our text topic, we're going to keep it real simple, but meaningful. Let's share messages of just well wishes and gratitude for our fellow Wavers. And by the way, I'm kind of curious because I'm on the fence on this one. How much money are you, assuming you're an adult, are you going to be giving out for this 세뱃돈? Every year, there's a debate online about how much you should be giving your children, your nieces or nephews, your grandchildren, etc. So share that with us as well. 자, 설을 맞아서 웨이버들에게 덕담 한마디씩 해주시면 어떨까요? 그리고 세뱃돈을 얼마나 어떻게 준비하고 계시는지. So have you already been to the bank and gotten the new money, the feeling of the new crisp bills? Are you ready? Are you set? Well, send in your messages to BEFM's livestream live chat on YouTube. Also, pound 9050 on your phone. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can reach me for free on Kakao Talk as well. You can find our channel by searching for BEFM 부산영어방송. And the ways you can listen to us, 90.5, 103.3 FM on the radio. That's if you're in Busan. Also, like I just said, we are streaming live on YouTube. And we have two apps, the BEFM app and the Papang app as well, where you can join in on the conversation. All right, let's look ahead to our Monday morning together. We have Showbiz Buzz with Michael. We have Business Perspectives with Bobby. Our special interview today, we're going to talk about something that you may or may not have heard about. This is called Underconsumption core. 저소비 코어. So do you know what this is? It's been trending definitely in the United States. And it's kind of flipping the whole idea of influencing, you know, instead of showing all this extravagance, it's the flip side. Maybe you don't need this or that in your life. So we're going to talk about this in hour number 2. And I'll be back with news headlines. It is now 7:06. These are today's headlines. Yoon indicted on insurrection charges. The prosecution yesterday indicted detained President Yoon on charges of leading an insurrection with a short-lived imposition of martial law. North Korea test fires cruise missile and sends warning to U.S. North Korea yesterday confirmed its test firing of sea-to-surface strategic cruise-guided missiles from the previous day, in the first missile launch since U.S. President Donald Trump took office last week. Korean won suffers second-steepest depreciation in December. The South Korean won experienced one of the steepest depreciations globally in December 2024, driven by political turmoil following the short-lived imposition of martial law. Heavy snow forecast today and tomorrow. Authorities are on high alert as the greater capital region prepares for heavy snowfall expected to last through early this week. Trump issues 25% tariff after Colombia turns back deportation flights. President Donald Trump says he has directed his administration to impose an emergency 25% tariff on all goods, a travel ban, and visa sanctions after Colombia turned away U.S. military flights carrying deported migrants. And these are today's headlines. Let's say hi to Sue this morning and see how she's doing. Good morning, Sue.
Good morning, Catherine.
All right, so first up, let's talk about anything you wanted to say to our listeners or waivers. Plus, any plans about the 세뱃돈?
I will talk about 세뱃돈 first.
Okay.
It's not a light topic because I have to prepare 세뱃돈 for my parents. And for my nephews, I would prefer to give them gifts.
Oh, really?
Like
over
clothes.
cash?
Yeah.
How old are they?
They're really little, 5.
I see.
One was just born last year.
So maybe they don't need the money right now.
Yeah.
I see. And any messages for our waivers?
Everyone get ready for a big change this year. Positive change.
Oh, is that what it is? You're forecasting big changes.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean positive changes for all.
Okay. Yeah. That's a very nice sentiment. Thanks for sharing. All right, first up, let's talk about the successful completion of the project to establish an offshore wind farm. And this is in the coastal waters of Daepo. This remains uncertain despite some possibilities.
Yes. Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries, 해양수산부, has partially accepted objections from a private company developing an offshore wind farm off Daepo. In 2023, MOF conditionally approved the company's plan to construct 12 wind turbines in the area and attached 11 conditions that needed to be met. The project was conditionally approved in 2023 with 11 requirements, 8 of which the company has fulfilled, so the company submitted objections discussions to the remaining ones to find solutions for the project.
Yes. So how about the negotiations? How have they been faring so far?
So there are two changes. When it comes to constructing an offshore wind farm, safety separation distance is required, which refers to the gap between maritime traffic routes and the wind farm. The routes are used by ships navigating the area. The separation distance is necessary for the safety of sea users. The MOF first accepted the company's objection regarding the required distance from 3,400 meters to 2,000 meters, as the company argued that smaller ships in the area made a shorter distance sufficient. And another one is for submarine cable relocation. The MOF allowed cables to be buried outside Morunde's cultural heritage protection zone after the company proposed an alternative location. Safety measures will be needed to prevent damage from ships. However, the MOF rejected the company's objection regarding resident acceptance, which requires further consultation with local residents and stakeholders. While agreements with fishermen and Busan City Fisheries Cooperative, Busan시 수협, have been made, some residents strongly oppose the project due to concerns over noise and low-frequency vibrations, posing challenges for the project's progress.
I see. Well, thanks for thoroughly explaining what's going on with that project. All right, next up, the 342.5-meter Busan Lotte Tower project is progressing as design modification procedures. They're nearing completion.
Busan Lotte Tower is located on the former Busan City Hall site in Junggu, and it received its construction permit in 2000. But the project faced long delays before restarting with a revised design in August 2023. Final reviews for the safety, integrated architectural design, traffic adjustments, and pre-disaster impact assessments for the midsection of the tower are expected to conclude soon.
Yes. Let's talk about the features in the updated plan. What do they include?
So the building's exterior design was revised to incorporate more volume and patterns inspired by ship bow waves, like 선수파 모양인데요. 뱃머리에 이렇게 있는 파도 모양이라고 하는데요. The layout includes retail spaces in the lower floors and offices on the 10th to 30th floors. There will be hotel and office facilities to the midsection of the building. An indoor observation deck and outdoor rooftop on the 60th floor and above will be constructed, offering panoramic views. And the tower is expected to be completed by the end of 2028, and it will become a new landmark in Busan.
So that's coming up in just a few years. Right, next up, Busan Metropolitan Office of Education announced that the educational gap between the eastern and western regions of the city, there are signs that the gap is narrowing, right?
Mm-hmm. The 2024 Busan Academic Achievement Assessment showed that the academic performance gap between middle school students in East and West Busan has decreased compared to 2023. Students meeting basic academic standards in Korean, mathematics, and English decreased from 9.5% in 2023 to 7.7% in 2024. And this is a 1.8 percentage points decrease.
So what contributed to this lessening of the gap?
The Education Office established the Academic Development Institute in November 2022, and they launched the Regional Education Gap Reduction Task Force in March 2023 in order to address the persistent East-West education gap. And also several initiatives have been implemented. And the initiatives include Busan-style internet lectures by top public education instructors and residential personality and academic camps. And this means 숙박형 인성 영수 캠프 and commuting type seasonal schools, weekend schools for high school students, and cafe-style self-directed learning spaces for creating comfortable environment for study. And also it is reported that starting in 2023, the establishment of cafe-style self-directed learning rooms in traditional urban centers and Western Busan general high schools has increased participation rates in self-directed learning among students.
Right. So thank you for sharing that with our listeners. Once again, the gap is getting smaller. The Busan Library announced that it will provide 538 important records related to Busan studies collected last year through its online service. This is called Busan's Memory. So explain what this is.
To be honest, Catherine, I'm not really good at history. I was never good at history class, but I'm getting more interested in learning about history. And I really definitely recommend this platform to visit if you want to find out more about history of Busan.
Okay.
So it's a digital archive system that preserves and shares important records related to Busan's identity and its cultural history. So currently it provides a total of 3,360 records from 43 institutions and individuals, including the Nakdong Cultural Center. The 538 important records related to Busan studies are now available through the online service.
Yes.
Busan's Memory primarily displayed institutional sources, but last year it started to include privately held records, and this shift led to the acquisition of numerous valuable photographs, which are now available through the online service. For example, there are images of North Busan from the 1970s and 1980s that depict the old landscapes and the Saemaul movement.
And so I hear that this platform has made local culture more easily accessible. So maybe you can give us another example of this.
So it's usually difficult for the general public to access valuable materials in the Busan Library, but they have been carefully selected and made available through the online service. So one example is 부산 동네 김해 향토지 local history. So 향토지 means a type of publication that provides detailed information about the history, culture, geography, and notable landmarks of a particular area or region. So a map was donated by local historian Ju Young-taek, and this map was created by the Japanese for tourist guidance in the Busan and Gimhae areas, and it offers a rare glimpse into the perspective of the Japanese on Busan over 100 years ago.
Wow, very interesting. So once again, that is called Busan's Memory. Well, thank you for all the updates, and of course, we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, let's get to our traffic and weather. Here's your traffic report. Here in the city, the roads are pretty clear, which is good news. Looking at holiday traffic on the expressways, no major backup as of right now. It's going to take 5 hours to get from Seoul to Busan if you leave now, and 4.5 hours from Busan to Seoul. So if you're planning on leaving, leave now. Light rain coming down here in Busan, expected to be on and off throughout the day. The rain will stop by this evening. Clear skies forecast across the week. However, the morning lows are dropping below zero, so please be aware of this. Across the nation, heavy snow coming down across the central, Jeonbuk, and Jeju areas. This is very much a wet morning, and therefore there are snow risks, heavy snow risks with risks of icy roads and structural damage if the snow piles up. So please take all the necessary precautions. This was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now time to check in with Haley for News Digest. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I hope you had a good weekend.
I did. I slept for about 60% of my entire weekend. It's so good. I mean, look how my skin glows, you guys. Sleep is
I
so
spent 90% of the weekend in bed. This cold, we were talking
It's
about
horrible.
this off air. So we both were feeling better, and then it didn't.
And then it got worse, right?
Right. It's so weird.
It's been a roller coaster. And I mean, as a lover of roller coasters, this is not a ride I've enjoyed, but
Let's get off.
I think I'm towards the end. Knock on
Really?
wood, please. But yeah.
I don't know. I felt so much better Friday.
You did.
And then
we all
Saturday,
did. Yeah.
it was just like, it hit me again. Anyhow, so any plans for this whole sebeton, whether it's for your little
my
ones?
nephew.
Yeah.
My nephew.
Your
My
little
mom,
one, right?
my mom always, she's like, she's like, what about in 떡값? And I'm like, I don't like 떡. Because 떡값 is another way of saying like holiday bonuses, but it's like rice cake, the money to buy rice cakes. And I just take it literally. I'm like, oh, I'm trying to cut down on carbs.
You're like, no, thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't, yeah.
Do you usually have like a gift for your parents or no? Yeah.
Myself. We take trips and I pay for accommodations and I pay for I like to pay for experiences, and this may be the exact spiel I gave to my parents. I'm just going to repeat it to you. I think spending time with the family is really important, more than material goods. So the point is no.
Ask me what my gift is.
Okay, excuse me. I heard
I know.
Good from our
Right,
producer,
right.
and that may have been
So
the
ask me
response.
what my gift is to my parents.
What is it?
Me.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Do
enough.
you want to go in on a bow together?
Yes.
I do. Guys, I am wearing bow earrings. Go
I'll
figure.
tie a little bow around my neck.
We
About that.
apologize.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's get into our first story. Big story. President Yoon Suk-yeol has now been officially indicted.
Right. So another history-making moment right now.
Yes.
So the prosecution last night, they indicted President Yoon under detention as the leader of the insurrection attempt. So once again, this is the first time in constitutional history that a sitting president will face trials under detention. So according to the prosecution's special investigation team, President Yoon issued an illegal and unconstitutional martial law for the purpose of excluding national authority despite absence of any signs of war, armed conflict, or comparable national crises.
Yes.
So he therefore also faces charges of having tried to arrest key politicians without a warrant.
And we knew that this indictment was coming. We could kind of, the reading on the walls, as they say, but the timing was actually sooner than anticipated.
Right, and I'll get to that part about there having been a 20-day warrant, but this is kind of smack in the middle of those 20 days.
Right.
So the courts, though, they kind of pushed the prosecution's hands to this decision being made now. So on Friday, 공수처, the CIO, they wrapped up their end of the investigation and passed the case on to the prosecution for further investigation and indictment. So that is because the CIO actually does not have the right to indict the president. So the intent was that the CIO and the prosecution, they were going to share the 20 days of the arrest warrant period. However, when the prosecution asked the court to extend this warrant, the court basically struck it down. And that actually happened twice because the prosecution requested and the court denied it once again. So the reason for them not extending the warrant period, because the court cited the CIO Act, 공수처법, essentially saying that the prosecution has the right to determine whether to indict the president, but it had no reason to continue the investigation. So as for the timing going back, the warrant it does stand for 20 days. However, if the prosecution, that's just for any warrant, if the prosecution doesn't indict the suspect within the first 10 days, they have to release the suspect, him or her. And that 10-day period would have been today, actually.
I see. So thanks for explaining what happened. Well, looking ahead to the trials, multiple too, at least, what would be the major points of contention, at least with the insurrection charges?
Right. So to make this clear, there are two separate trials, or at least there will be. Number one, the ongoing impeachment trials at the Constitutional Court, and now the upcoming criminal trials for the insurrection charges.
Right.
So two things to look at, the procedures and the actual facts of what happened. First, with the procedures, it does go back to the rights of investigation and the rights of indictment. Because judging from what the president's defense has been saying and what they've been doing, they are going to continue with the argument that the CIO's investigation of the president was actually illegitimate, that the CIO does not have the rights. And then in terms of what actually happened, it'll be over President Yoon's specific order surrounding the martial law declaration, and that will be the key facts. Because from what we've seen so far, both the president and former defense minister Kim Yong-hyun have been saying that it is actually Kim that drafted the memo on the emergency legislature 비상입법기구. So he's been kind of taking the blame for the bulk of what happened. And Yoon is denying that he ever gave orders on arresting key politicians.
I see. So, of course, the big story here in Korea we're going to continue to follow. Up next, though, North Korea tested its cruise missiles over the weekend, along with its first message since U.S. President Donald Trump's inauguration.
Right. So this all goes to the backdrop of Donald Trump having said earlier that he does plan to reach out to Kim Jong-un, saying that, Kim will welcome him and also that he will try to have a second summit with the North Korean leader.
Yes.
And then on Saturday, the North Korean Missile Administration, they test-fired the strategic cruise missiles, 순항 미사일, and the North State media followed this up, saying that the test was the part of the plans to build the national defense capabilities, raise the effectiveness of strategic control against potential enemies. And then yesterday, Pyongyang's foreign ministry said that it will maintain the toughest counteraction to the United States as long as it rejects the country's sovereignty and security interests.
So this definitely seems like a loaded message to the U.S.
It was, but then we do have to parse through it with anything that North Korea says. So pundits say that this isn't a full-out criticism or rejection, but indeed it was loaded. So in the statement, Pyongyang criticized the U.S. as the party to blame for its joint air drills with South Korea. And this, of course, is something that we've heard from Pyongyang over and over again. However, the timing is conspicuous because it kind of comes off as prerequisite for any talks between Pyongyang and Washington would be for South Korea and the U.S. to at least suspend the joint drills. And then also to whom it was addressed.
Yes.
The statement was definitely critical of the United States, but it didn't mention Trump by name. And North Korea usually isn't afraid to pinpoint to individuals. Also, the choice of missile was a cruise missile as opposed to an intercontinental ballistic missile, an ICBM, which is a violation of UN sanctions or UN resolutions.
Yes. So that's what's happening on the peninsula. All right, up next, holidays can be a painful time for some people, and I think it's our duty to address these issues.
Absolutely. So while we want you all of our waivers, to have a happy holiday, but unfortunately, it is not the case for many people. So number one, there is a higher volume of domestic abuse reported during the holidays. So for example, last year, the last Lunar New Year period, there was actually a 30% increase in domestic violence calls to the police. So we're looking at numbers from the National Police Agency that was released by Democratic Party lawmaker Yang Bunam. So South Korean police receive on average about 640 domestic violence calls every day. So keep that in mind, about 650. But then if you're looking at the Lunar New Year period last year, between February 9th and 12th, that went up to an average of 846 calls per day. So that's 1.3 times the average. So lawmaker Lee, who released the figure, said that this year, the holidays, as we know, they're longer, today being a temporary holiday.
Yes.
So there is a need for overall inspection against domestic violence and called for vigilance and stronger monitoring by the authorities.
And that's sad to think about your loved ones,
right?
Your family members that
but
may be
unfortunately, statistics show that it is usually the people people within the family that are the biggest perpetrators.
Well, another issue is with people who have to actually work during this long holiday.
Right, and industrial safety regarding these work sites. So in the last 5 years, there have been 29 people who died as a result of industrial accidents during the holiday period. And this was the most frequent with smaller and mid-sized companies that have 50 employees or fewer, and they account for over 70%. And actually on Saturday morning, tragedy struck again. A 22-year-old Uzbekistani worker was found dead. He was, and this is quite graphic. He was stuck in the conveyor belt at a stone milling factory in Wonju. So the staff at the factory told the police that he was actually alone when this accident happened. And this kind of shows what really the picture of what happens with industrial accidents during the holidays. So overall, we do see a smaller rate of industrial accidents because there are just fewer workplaces that are open and fewer people working.
Yes.
However, if you really think about it, the workplaces that do stay open, they're trying to meet a deadline because if they're opening their doors during the holidays, you are under a time crunch. So that means likely less safety precautions are being taken, or they have hired temporary workers who are not as trained. So this does lead to higher rates of accidents.
I see. Well, thank you for, going over a segment of the population that actually really do need our attention. For a final story, it's been nearly a week since President Donald Trump took office, but the number of measures that have been announced or gone into effect in the first, 6 days or so, quite substantial.
Enough for us to fill an entire segment, actually, so I'm going to just pick out a couple of them.
Yes.
So the United States has stopped all foreign aid except for to Israel and Egypt. So the U.S., by the way, is, or at least was, the world's biggest international aid donor. It spends about $68 billion, or it spent about $68 billion in 2023. However, according to, and this was announced by President Trump, but also in a leaked memo from the U.S. State Department to its embassies around the world, no new funds will be given out until each and every proposal has been reviewed and approved. And then another issue, you have been hearing this, is with DEI, which stands for Diversity, Equality, and Inclusion. So hiring people based on kind of trying to make equity within gender, race, and even sexual identification, sexual orientation. But Trump issued an executive order that basically shut down all offices of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs within the federal government. And also private companies have been following suit as well.
Yes, yes.
And there have been several firings, sackings going on, fired inspectors general from more than a dozen federal agencies. And basically that allows him to make his own picks for these independent watchdog roles.
So that's just not even
Not even the tip of the iceberg. It's
Right,
just
right.
little snowflakes off of that iceberg, but that's where we are.
Yes, indeed. Well, thanks for going over all the news. And of course, we'll check in with you in hour number 2. And by the way, in hour number 2, I want that message for waivers.
I'll have your tokdam ready.
All right, Haley, thank you.
Thank you.
And for now, we're going to get to our first song break. This is, as requested by Benny, Thank You by SG Wannabe.
가슴 졸였던 그 첫 무대를 난 아직도 기억하고 있죠. 날 비추던 조명과 그때의 작은 웃음소리를 느꼈죠. 어색했던 우리 첫 만남도 훌쩍 1년이 지나갔죠. 얼마나 그댈 기다렸는지 이 노래를 함께 하려고 I give it to you 날 지켜주던 그대 맘에 내 선물이죠. 지친 그댈 위로할 수만 있다면 난 그걸로도 행복하죠. I sing in my life 언제까지나 이제 내가 지켜줄게요. 그댈 위해 노래할 수만 있다면 난 그걸로도 감사하죠. 한결같은 그대 사랑이 나 오늘도 꿈을 꾸게 하죠. 감사하죠.
Welcome back. What a nice song picked by Benny. And I have a public service announcement for you. It is raining, like I said earlier, here in Busan, or snowing across most areas nationwide with strong winds in the coastal areas. That means that the roads may be icy, so please be careful of accidents from things like slipping. And when you drive, keep plenty of distance with the car in front of you. And also slow down. If you're traveling long distance, prepare essentials in advance, like items to keep you warm and emergency food supplies in case of traffic congestion or getting stranded. For clearing snow, do this during the day with at least 2 people and make sure you're safe. For the elderly and the vulnerable, as well as children, please refrain from outdoor activities if possible. And this was a message from the Ministry of the Interior and Safety. And I know there's going to be a lot of traveling going on today throughout the entire week, but especially today, we do have forecasts of, rain or snow as well. So please be careful out there. Well, let's talk about our text topic. Simply put, messages of well wishes and gratitude for our fellow waivers. Our fellow listeners out there, 네, 설을 맞이하여 웨이버들에게 덕담 한 마디씩 해주시면 좋을 것 같고요. 그리고 이 세뱃돈, every year, it's kind of a debate. So what's the going rate? 요즘 세뱃돈 얼마? 아니면 what are you planning? 계획이 얼만큼 넣을 건데요? In the envelope, usually with the crisp bills. What are you planning? So looking at some of your messages, Michael just sent in a message saying this. 모든 웨이버님들 멋진 2025년에 항상 건강하시고 가정과 일터의 행복만 가득히 하시길 바랍니다. So he's wishing for all the waivers out there to always be healthy. And whether it's with your family or work, let it be full of happiness. That's what he's wishing for. Such a nice sentiment. So I'm going to end it on that for now. Let's get to Cat's Pick for this Monday morning. So you may have heard about these deportations that U.S. President Donald Trump is implementing. However, this is the first time that the U.S. are using military aircraft to do so. And apparently Colombia and Mexico thus far, well, they are kind of saying, no, we might not take these type of planes. Here's a clip from ABC News.
Major developments on immigration just days after President Trump declared an emergency at the southern border. A military buildup underway. The first of some 1,500 active duty troops have arrived. Marines from Camp Pendleton arriving with heavy equipment and Osprey aircraft. And for the first time, military planes are making deportation flights. This C-17 at Fort Bliss, Texas. Migrants in restraint seen boarding a flight to Guatemala. A new image from inside another flight taking off from Tucson, Arizona. Meantime, the administration saying that arrests are ramping up. More than 500 undocumented migrants arrested in multiple cities over the last 24 hours.
Tonight, for the first time, U.S. military aircraft flying undocumented migrants out of the country as President Donald Trump launches his deportation campaign. The White House releasing these pictures, dozens of migrants in chains boarding C-17 aircraft. The flights landing in Guatemala carrying roughly 160 people, men and women.
Deportation's going very well.
Today, the Trump administration's new border czar, Tom Homan, telling me it's only the beginning.
Is that going to be a constant commitment from the U.S. military every single day to take deportees out?
Yes.
This as the military buildup on the border escalates. 1,500 active duty personnel, Army and Marines deploying. Their mission to support enhanced detection and monitoring efforts and repair and replace physical barriers.
President Trump says he's directing his administration to take immediate action against Colombia's president and his supporters, including tariffs, a travel ban, and visa sanctions. The move comes after Colombia denied entry to 2 C-17 military planes carrying undocumented immigrants, forcing the planes to turn around midair. Colombian President Gustavo Petro said Sunday that the U.S. cannot treat migrants as criminals and that Colombia would accept migrants on civilian planes.
And in response to that, as you heard in our news earlier, well, Trump has announced 25% tariffs against Colombia in retaliation for that. And hence, the story here, Cat's Clip for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It is time for Showbiz Buzz. Guess who is in the studio with us? Michael.
Me.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, that was so cute. How was your weekend?
Oh, it was good. It was good.
Are you looking forward to this long Lunar New Year holiday?
It's already started, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I think for us, many of us, it's already 2 days past
Indeed.
in the weekends. But yeah,
Yes.
I love this feeling of no work at all. But
Really? But?
there are family duties that we have to fulfill.
Right.
Like
So what about the
좀 붙이는
세뱃돈?
거. 세뱃돈. For me, like receiving, 제가 받는다면은 I think around 10만 원, like 100,000 won.
주는 거는 아예 없어요?
만약에
드리는 거?
준다면 I would say 20만 원, 200,000 won.
Oh, nice.
Because I'm not a kid anymore, sadly. Unfortunately.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, any message to our listeners or waivers? What would you like to say?
Well, first and foremost, 새해 복 많이 받으세요. Happy New Year to everyone, waivers out there. 진짜, it's going to be a great year. It's going to be.
If Michael says it, it will be.
It's going to be a great
Yes.
year for all of you. So, 새해 복 많이 받으십시오.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's dive into our first bit of news.
Yeah, well, before we get into one though, we just wanted to talk about 설날 and the holidays
Yes.
because, and I just wanted to introduce to the waivers something special. So as a composer, I've been thinking, it's a 설날 holiday. So what should I do? What should I bring for this segment? And we all know that, January 1st, 설날 is January 1st in the lunar calendar, right? And the meaning of 설날 is that actually the word 설 is derived from the word 살.
살.
So it's not fat, but it means age. So it means a day
살.
that all of us become a year older.
I get it.
한 살 먹는 날, 설날. So I thought, whoa, that's pretty simple.
Yes.
Yeah. So this image that we get when we think about 설날, it's associated with an image of the sun, the rising sun, right? In contrast to the moon in Chuseok, right?
Yes.
So I was thinking, as a composer, maybe I could bring one of the compositions that I wrote before
Really?
that depicts the sun, and I think it's a great shout out from my end to the waivers on the start of this great and long holidays. So the piece that I wanted to introduce is called 동트는 새벽별. So it's in English, it's called The Morning Hill. I wrote it back, I think 2 years ago already. But it was an honor for me to record this piece with the City of Prague Orchestra.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's in Czech Republic. And I just wanted to let the waivers take a listen to it and really feel the vibe of the sun rising against a big mountain. And I think that really depicts the spirit of 설날, like going, I don't know, like 시골 내려가시는 분들, they have to wake up early, right? And for those of you who are already enjoying the holiday, they wake up in the morning and the 시골 공기 냄새, so good, right?
I love it.
I think that kind of stuff like really blends in with the music piece that I want to introduce. So just wanted to take a listen to this for the waivers. So it's like a little gift for the waivers. Happy 설날. 새해 복 많이 받으세요.
Oh my gosh, so touched. Because while the song was playing in the background, we saw, our producer also had an image up on her YouTube screen, which I'll let you introduce. So she was explaining what's this.
Yeah, it was the sun rising on the first day of 2025.
Yes.
And the photo was taken in Ulleungdo.
Right. So
against the place called 촛대바위. So it's like a candle rock, right?
Yes.
And it looked amazing. Like those of you watching through Notubu, I mean, it's an amazing photo right there.
The photos plus your music. I mean, it was kind of like it was building up, and then like really, really, to me, it sounded really hopeful.
Yes. That
and
was what I was
peaceful.
going for.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got it right. I mean,
thank goodness.
I think like it really blends in with the Seollal spirit. Everybody's like hope. They're happy and they're hopeful that this year is going to turn out great for them. And I really do hope that this year turns out great for all of the waivers out there. So I just wanted to put it as a gift.
Our waiver say, 마이클 달리 보입니다. And people, Leslie saying, this reminds me of Mr. Holland's Opus.
Oh.
That's a really, really amazing,
Yeah.
that's a good compliment.
Oh, 너무 감사합니다. Thank you so much. That means a lot. That means a lot. Wow.
So, yes, as one of our waivers says, not just a talented singer, 노래만 잘하는 게 아니라. Wow, yes, of course.
So that's what I do actually. So I don't just come out here and make jokes but
너무 멋있습니다.
but I love
Thank
making
you.
jokes too. So yeah, I love it. I love being here. Yeah.
Yes, the Ajay gags, even though you're not Ajay.
Yeah. So anyways, again, 새해 복 많이 받으세요. Happy New Year for
To you as well.
everyone. Yes.
All right. So I know we just have like a couple minutes, but what are like the main topics you want to cover today?
Yeah. So, well, the biggest issue that I wanted to cover for the Seollal week is about New Jeans. New Jeans. And I think everybody already knows that New Jeans is seeking a new name. So they are currently in a contract dispute with its K-pop label Adore. And they announced Thursday the launch of a public contest to create a new group name, declaring the team will never return to the agency. So in response, Adore stated the group's attempt to pursue an independent career in the entertainment industry constitutes a serious breach of their contract. So New Jeans is asking the fans to participate in the name making by submitting their suggestions in the comment section of their social media account, Jeans for free.
Yes.
So the members maintain their exclusive contracts with Adore were terminated as of November 29th last year, allegedly due to the agency's failure to fulfill its obligations. However, Adore insists the contract is still valid and has filed a lawsuit to confirm the validity of the exclusive contract, as well as an injunction to preserve its status as a management agency. So this contract dispute is still ongoing, but New Jeans seems to move on to create their own kingdom.
Yes, so we'll see what happens.
We see what happens
in the year 2025. But we're going to call it a wrap for today. But once again, thank you for the wonderful gift, your music, to all of our listeners. And we'll check in with you real soon. Thank you, Michael. Happy Lunar New Year.
Thank you. 새해 복 많이 받으세요.
네. And with that, we're going to call it a wrap for hour number 1. How about this one? As requested by 윤정 Waiver, 이루리 by 우주소녀.
가벼운 발걸음은 바람 따라 날아올라 왠지감이 좋은 날 달콤한 느낌 설레는 맘 가득해 이 순간 말해줘 다 말해줘 너의 마음 다 Oblivious 앞에 이뤄져 이제도 믿을만 이렇게 네가 바라는 대로 느낌이 오는 대로 전부 들어줄게 whenever whatever 네 곁에만 있을게 이대로 내 이름을 불러줘 alright 언제나 너를 만나 너갈 거야 너에는 아름다운 이 밤 조금씩 물들어 가버차올라 이루어지길 너의 소원 난 나에게 말해 들어줄게 거친 바람에도 흔들리지 않을 손잡아 이루리 이루리 라 이루리 이루리 라 모두 다 이뤄질 거야 너를 느껴봐 우린 원해 love ya 어두운 밤 속에서는 빛을 찾을 거야 이루리 이루리 라 나를 꺼내줘 네가 바라는 것을 위한 말해줘 눈 안에서 너를 비춰 이루리다 봄라탈라타 널 피우리다 내 맘에 약속해 이 순간 영원해 이대로 너를 향해 빛을 내 이렇게 네가 바라는 대로 꿈꿔왔던 그대로 전부
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전 기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
These are the guidelines for action for people in the event of an apartment building fire. First, if evacuation is possible in the event of a fire in your home, move to a safe place in a low posture by using stairs. And if evacuation is difficult, move to an evacuation space or block the door gap and call 119 for rescue. Second, if a fire breaks out in another home and no flames or smoke enters your home, wait inside the home, call 119, and act according to the announcement. Third, if flames and smoke come into your home in the event of a fire in another home, check to see if evacuation is possible and then evacuate or request rescue. This was brought to you by the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and the National Fire Agency.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded.
What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It's now 8 o'clock. It's time for news highlights. Yoon indicted on insurrection charges. The prosecution yesterday indicted detained President Yoon Suk-yeol on charges of leading an insurrection with a short-lived imposition of martial law. Yoon now becomes the first sitting president in South Korea's history to be indicted under detention, a move that came just a day before his detention period was set to end. Yoon faces allegations of conspiring with former Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun and others to incite an insurrection on December 3rd by declaring an unconstitutional and illegal state of emergency, along with allegedly planning to arrest and detain key political figures. North Korea test fires cruise missile and sends warning to the U.S. North Korea yesterday confirmed its test firing of sea-to-surface strategic cruise-guided missiles from the previous day, and the first missile launch since U.S. President Donald Trump took office last week. A report from the North's Missile Administration said that the missiles precisely hit the targets after traveling the 1,500-kilometer-long elliptical and eight-shaped flight orbit for over 7,500 seconds. The North's state media quoted its leader, Kim Jong-un, who praised this test as a perfection of the means of war deterrence of the armed forces of his regime. Korean won suffers second steepest depreciation in December. The South Korean won experienced one of the steepest depreciations globally in December 2024, driven by political turmoil following the short-lived imposition of martial law. According to the data by the Bank for International Settlements, or BIS, the South Korean local currency's real effective exchange rate, known as REER or REER, reached 91.3 at the end of December, down 1.99 points from a month earlier. Among the BIS-listed 64 countries, South Korea's December REER was the second lowest point, trailing only Japan's 71.3. Heavy snow forecast today and tomorrow. Authorities are on high alert as the greater capital region prepares for heavy snowfall, expected to last through early this week. The Seoul metropolitan government announced preparations for the anticipated snowfall of 10 to 20 centimeters, which is expected to begin early this morning to continue through tomorrow, elevating its alert level to the second phase. Authorities emphasize the importance of maintaining a safe distance while driving in snowy conditions, and urge pedestrians to exercise caution. Trump issues 25% tariff after Colombia turns back deportation flights. President Donald Trump says he has directed his administration to impose an emergency 25% tariff on all goods, a travel ban, and visa sanctions after Colombia turned away U.S. military flights carrying deported migrants. Colombia President Gustavo Petro turned away these flights, calling on the U.S. for better protocols in its treatment of migrants, saying he would receive the migrants on civilian planes. This is the first case of Trump using economic pressure to force other nations to fall in line with his mass deportation plans since taking office last week. This was News Highlights. It's time for 와글와글. We have Haley back in the studio.
I'm back.
Hey, so before we begin, what words of wisdom or appreciation do you want to share with our waivers?
Right. So appreciation, of course, I'm always thankful, especially for the 30 or so of you who are here with us this morning. I mean, you had the choice.
There are many more, but that's just on our
Right. There are many, many more.
Yes.
You had a choice to sleep in.
But you didn't.
Yeah, and not listen to English. But here you are. And
Yes.
I am ever so grateful. But I think 덕담 can be interpreted two ways. Appreciation / unsolicited advice, which is where I thrive. And, you know, let's be healthy, but specifically sleep at least, I want to say 7, but I know I'm not going to keep to it. So 6.5 hours.
Okay.
And then, you know, let's get more muscle mass for this year. Yeah, let's all,
That's the
because, you
goal.
know, I slept a lot this weekend and I do feel infinitely better. So yeah, getting a newfound appreciation for enough sleep. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you for your wise words that you've shared with our
Yes.
listeners. All right, so we have some 설 와글 stories today. So first, gifts are common this time of year with parcel deliveries definitely on the rise. But there are apparently people who steal these gifts. Why, people? Why?
All right, waivers. Ladies and gentlemen, children and elders, strap in because like our collective sickness, I'm going to take you on a roller coaster for this wager. So number one, a low for us all, because why would you want to steal someone's holiday gifts?
Why?
But people do. So there's always an increased volume of gifts being delivered during the holidays, and we covered this last week. But unfortunately, there's an increase of people stealing these gifts.
Why, oh, why?
Why, oh, why? This is according to just one city, Daejeon Seobu Police. In February of last year, which is when Lunar New Year's was in February last year, there was a 45% increase in parcel delivery theft. 택배 절도. And in September of last year, which was the month for Chuseok, a 53% increase. And then in January of 2023, the police, they staked out an apartment building after they've received calls for repeated theft just in that building alone.
Yes.
And found 2 people, and they were residents of this apartment taking items from just the hallway. And that included from like beverages, fruit to like 갈비탕. So they were really making a making a living out of this.
Wow.
And then there are also unmanned parcel delivery pickup sites that are also quite vulnerable. And that can happen if you don't live in an apartment, but like a studio apartment. In Korean, we call them one room or office styles. So if this is your case and you're living alone and you're going to be away for a long period of time, it may be a good idea to use nearby convenience stores for manned pickup or just get stuff delivered to your workplace.
And so Leslie says, in the States, they call them porch pirates. Because there are porches.
And that's why, and in the States, because we have like CCTVs as apartment buildings, but people have like the doorbell cameras.
Yes.
And
there's a reason.
There is a reason.
Don't steal people. But I'm sure none of our waivers do.
Of course. Yes. But I'm telling our waivers to be aware because some people might not be as honest as we all are. You all are.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, for us, like we try to make it a habit. As soon as we get the message, like something has been delivered,
right?
We try to go as quickly as possible to collect our stuff. All right, big question of the year. How much to give for 세뱃돈?
Because I think it's should we have 세뱃 to Michael? Because he said 200,000 won, and I was like, who's the recipient? Can I be your adopted niece? I think we're the same age, but can I? Yeah, exactly. 삼촌, 오빠, whatever.
Yes.
But to give or not to give, or rather to give 50,000 won or 100,000 won, right? Because it's either 5만 원 or 10만 원 seems to be the conundrum. Because it depends on who you are. If you're a giver, if you are giving,
5만 원, right?
definitely 5만 원, that one bill. But receivers, they want two of those bills, the 100,000 won.
Yes.
Which is why the average 세뱃돈 for middle and high school kids meeting smack in the middle at 74,000 won. Which is, it's so the middle, off by like 1,000원.
Right.
But 74,000원. But I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna take out 74,000원 or 75,000원 and count it and say it's the average. However, by the way, speaking of inflation, 세뱃돈 inflation is real and it's ridiculous as a giver. In 2021, which is, I remember 2021, 54,000 won.
It jumped up 20,000 won in just a few years.
Right.
너무 많이 올라가네요.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it in my heart, my head, and my wallet. So, of course, giving 7만 원 or 7만 5천 원 may be a little awkward and it may get you that reputation of being that aunt.
Yes.
So judging from results of surveys and trends, all right, here's the rule. I'm going to lay it down and you can all blame Haley and your kids will be like,
law.
Who's Haley?
Okay.
If you are going for pre-K to 6th grade, 미취학 아동 to 6학년, 미취학 아동 to 6학년, 10,000원 to 50,000원. So I think if it's like 미취학, pre-K, like pre-K to 저학년, it's like first grade, 10,000원, 20,000원, and then if they get to the 5th and 6th grade, it's like the 50,000원 bill. Right. Middle and high school, 50,000 to 100,000 won. And maybe middle school could be 50,000, high school can be 100,000.
What about college kids?
And let's fight on this.
Are they kids?
So what defines an adult?
I say when you're out of the house paying your own bills.
So I'm still not. I like that. Can I get that on recording to play for family?
And then we can do the Michael.
Exactly. And let's all. Can you summon him back so we can all have it to him? So opinion is very much split because if we are defining adults as a legal age, college kids definitely. They're adults.
Yes.
But in terms of, are you financially independent? Of course not. So that really depends on how your family sees it. I'm not going to get into I do not have a horse in that fight. So that really depends. So I wonder, waivers.
Can I brag just a little?
Sure.
About my college kid. So he announced starting February, like so far he's taken over his own cell phone payments.
Aww.
He doesn't get any 용돈. He hasn't ever since he entered college. And he says starting this month, he says not even transportation fees. So he's like taking these like mini steps to become independent. And then so my question is like,
do you feel sad?
I feel
a little sad about it.
I felt really sad when he said that. He's like, I'll just get his own 교통카드.
Right.
And like with the what was it?
The Busan, 동백전. The Pay. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was kind of saddened by that, though.
Actually, my sister, I think they're the same age. She said, because I pay for a cell phone bill. And she said, it's okay. And I'm like, you're stupid, but okay. And I was kind of a little bit sad. But yeah, they're growing up.
They are. And so let's talk about some of these time honor traditions of the whole 세뱃돈 itself.
Right, because it is. So this is the history of 세뱃돈.
Yes.
So there are several theories as to when and how the 세뱃돈 trend started. But folklorists, they trace this practice of giving 세뱃돈 for Lunar New Year to the late 18th century. So we're going all the way back to the Joseon period. So we're looking at actual historical records. There's this mention of 문안비, like 문안, like your well wishes or checking in well-being.
Yes.
Apparently, in the olden days for Lunar New Year, when a younger member of the family couldn't go visit an elder of the family, they would send and this is Joseon, so they had slaves or servants, and then to give them their well wishes. However, in response, the elders gave the servants a bit of money to spend on their way back home. So some historians see this as a origin of 세뱃돈. And then there are also arguments of this having been an international custom from China or Japan. China, the ever-famous, the red envelopes, and that goes back all the way to the 11th century. Or Japan, which had this practice starting in the 17th century. So when Joseon opened up and there were immigration migrants from China and Japan, they also may have brought this practice over.
Oh, okay.
In any case, we're looking at least 200 to 300 year history. By the way, it was, tradition changes all the time. But at least in the late 20th to early 21st century, the etiquette was not to kind of rummage through your wallet and get the money out, but prep it in advance in envelopes labeled with the recipient's name, with new bills preferably. Interestingly, in the Joseon dynasty, the 덕담, these words of good wishes, they were all said in the past tense. So instead of 건강하세요, you say 건강했구나, 건강했네. Because it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Sure.
By saying that it happened, it's going to happen.
I get it. I like it.
It's like 부자 되셨군요.
Right. I like it.
부자 되셨군요. 부자시군요.
로또 이겼네요.
로또 당첨되셨네요.
Okay.
Right. 건강하시군요.
네.
Yes.
Can we do that all year?
Yeah, let's do that.
At least
I
for
like that.
our producer's squeezing her head. 머리가
Why?
되게 아프신가 봐요.
Why do you not know about being 부자? 부자 되셨잖아요. 부자시잖아요.
네.
See, so we're giving you 덕담.
Love it. Actually, I like that idea. I think I'm going to try it, at least for the time being, maybe for the week. All right, so we do have a bit of a sad story. In Cambodia, 4 people died in a rush for these cash gifts.
Unfortunately, so, light and a dark side to everything.
Yes.
So 4 people they died in a crowd crush and this surge for cash gifts by a wealthy tycoon. So according to local reports, this tycoon, Sokong, he had an event at his home in the capital city, Phnom Penh, where he gave out money envelopes and rice for Lunar New Year. So this was very much well-intended because it is tradition, apparently, for the wealthy to give money for the Lunar New Year to those in need. So he gave about 40,000 rial, which is about 14,000 won, 14,000 won per person, and 2 kilograms of rice from his mansion. But at least hundreds of people, they all rushed in and people fell. 2 men and 2 women, they fell and unfortunately did not make it. So the local media reported that this tycoon with the city's governor, they paid condolences and they also paid condolence payments of about 5.3 million won to each deceased and 4 million rial or 1.42 million won for each of the injured individuals.
Oh, that is unfortunate. I know we have some of the footage up on our Notu page. To hear about this, what should be a happy time.
Absolutely.
Turning tragic.
So our hearts go out to those who have been hurt.
Right. We need a feel-good story. Do we have one?
We do. Okay. And a local one, too. Okay. So, speaking of winning the lottery, we have, I think, I'm going to say Lydia, because we had way back when Lydia used to be with us.
Yes.
The question was, what are you going to do when you win the lottery? I have a very detailed plan for what I'm going to do. And then she shook me because her response was, I'm going to give it to charity. And I'm like
all of it.
Right? People do this really? Okay, all right. So she schooled me, and she's so much younger than me. And this person did it. He or she, in Sasangu, so my neighbor, the district office recently had someone walk in and just walk straight over to the official who's in charge of donations and handed them a lottery ticket.
Literally
the ticket. And then the official was like, what? And they turned on their phone, scanned the QR code, and then showed them this is the winning, it's a lottery ticket for third place, which is about 1.37 million won, 130만 won. But it's still, it's not first place, but it's so significant. That's like bills for months. So this person said they wanted to share the luck. And because this luck came to them, good fortune, they wanted to pass that good fortune to people in need. And let's just end on that high. Yeah, for the holidays.
Would we have been able to do that?
Yeah. I'm going to go.
You're going to go?
I would not like to be put on the spot for that question.
All right.
Yeah.
But thank you for bringing the stories. That's our gift.
Yes.
Well, we'll check in with you tomorrow, of course. Thank you, Haley.
Have a good holiday.
And with that, let's get to our updated traffic and weather. It's time for your traffic update. The good news is in our city itself. Roads are clear. However, on the expressways, no major backup as of yet. It's going to take 5.5 hours to get from Seoul to Busan if you leave now, and from Busan to Seoul, 4.5 hours. Once again, that's assuming you leave right now. Traffic will reach its peak midday, so at that point, it's going to take 7 hours from Seoul to Busan, but an easier drive from Busan to Seoul at 5 hours. Light rain is coming down in Busan, expecting it to be pretty much on and off throughout the day. The rain will cease by this evening. Clear skies forecast across this week, but the morning lows are dropping to sub-zero, so please be aware of this. Across the nation, heavy snow coming down across the central regions, plus Jeonbuk and Jeju as well. This is definitely the wet season, and therefore that means heavy snow in certain areas, so with risks of icy roads and structural damage if that snow piles up. So please take all the necessary precautions you need to. And this was your traffic and weather. How about this one? 천생연분 by Solid.
난 내가 있었어 우린 결코 헤어질 수 없어 영원히 살아갈 수밖에 없어 그렇게 네 안에 하루 지나 예쁜 추억을 만든 것뿐이야 너를 사랑해 영원히 너를 사랑해 너를 사랑해
All right, welcome back, everybody. So, it's very much the winter season, so I want to share this with you. Please pay particular attention to things like electric and gas safety for fire prevention, especially when you're leaving home for a very prolonged time during this Lunar New Year holiday. What do we need to remind ourselves of? Unplug electronics and appliances, things like heaters, shut down power to extension cords, and turn off all the lights in your home. And this is really important. Make sure the gas valve is turned off. Large crowds are expected at multi-use facilities during the holiday. For business owners and facility managers, keep fire doors shut at all times and move anything in front of these doors to prepare for fires or any emergencies. And also, lastly, check and make sure things like sprinklers, fire extinguishers, and other fire extinguishing systems, that they're all working properly. And this was a message from the National Fire Agency, and I wanted to share this information with you because oftentimes we're excited to jet to the airport or, get on the road to wherever you're going. But, like a little list, a checkoff list would be really nice. So let's talk about our text topic and also my plans for the whole sebeton thing. So first of all, with the sebeton, what I'm planning to do, and I know all the family members, they're still sleeping right now. So what I'm going to do is having like this tray, 쟁반 해서 the bills, 1,000원짜리, 5,000원, 10,000원 하고 50,000원짜리 all mixed together on the tray. 근데 1,000원짜리가 제일 많을 거예요. And then I'm going to use a spatula. How do you say in Korean? 뒤집개? Like, 전 부칠 때 그거 있죠? 그거를 이제 scooping. But your eyes are blindfolded. 눈을 가리고. 그리고 돈만 거기 올려놓을 거 아니고 비슷한 거. Like leaves. Anything that's kind of light and feels like paper money. I'm going to put it on the tray. And then they have 30 seconds to scoop out whatever they can into a bowl. And the key is this. 다른 bills 말고 다른 이물질, like other stuff that you put on the tray, it has to be flat and light so it feels like money. And I hear some people use cotton balls. 솜 있죠, 진짜 솜. 우리 소독할 때 솜 그런 것도 올려놓고 한대요. 그래서 가벼워서 막 열심히 넣었는데, So the whole point is to give out the least amount of sebeton. That's a fun way to do it. So that's what I'm planning to do. And while you think about your plans for sebeton, let's get to our special interview. So it's such an interesting topic. So I'll be back with our guest in just a moment. All right, it's time for a special interview. For the past few months, a trend called Underconsumption core, 저소비 core, has been really trending in the US and is flipping the script on influencers by saying maybe you don't need that. Because, in the past, it's like, all this, showing off on the internet, on social media. So instead of hauling endless new stuff in Korea, they call it 하울, people showing off the joys of reusing, repurposing, and loving what they already have. So it's all about saving money, saving the planet, and maybe even saving your sanity. Let's find out what this is all about. Joining us is Wiebe, content creator and Deinfluencer. So, by the way, handle at depression.gov. So let's find out what she has to say. Hi, thanks for coming on the air with us today.
Hi, happy to be here.
So, can you explain what this concept is, this underconsumption core, and how it kind of became like a hot new thing on social media?
Yeah, so I think underconsumption core really began with all of the overconsumption that we were seeing on social media, particularly I'd say on TikTok. Um, rather than buying something, at the drop of the newest item, you're instead choosing to get, every ounce of use and value out of something you already own. And really, I think that's normal living to a lot of people. That's what I like to call it too. And it's how we've consumed truly for like decades, up until more recently, where we've seen this overconsumption kind of taking over.
Indeed, indeed. And so, what inspired you to start kind of promoting this whole idea of underconsumption core? Because, it is something that we probably think about, but not something that we always perpetuate in real life.
Yeah, so actually it kind of began for me back in late 2023 when I posted my first TikTok video about all these come shopping with me videos that I was seeing. And from there, I started to really lean into de-influencing. And then I thought too that with underconsumption, I myself am not consuming garbage. So I really wanted to show that to other people and show that you can just live a normal life without over-consuming.
Right, right. And so what do you think, Diana, is the biggest misconception people have about this whole trend or this idea of underconsumption core? Because is it really just about saving money, or is there a deeper message?
I think it goes beyond that. We've been told for years at this point that our individual decisions really mean nothing in comparison to a corporation, which is true if you're looking at it as a singular person. But I think when we can collectively consume less, that really can make an impact. And so I'd say that's the biggest misconception with underconsumption and also just consumption in general. And that our individual choices do in fact matter.
Right, right. And do you think that these social media trends like this one, like hashtag underconsumption core, does this really actually help people kind of rethink their lifestyles and actually do this in reality and not just kind of like it for the idea that it is?
I really think that it does because, we've kind of all been in a little bit of a trance from influencer marketing, especially in the last 5 years, I would say. Mm-hmm. And talking about it from, the opposite side of things, that can kind of break people out of that and hopefully get to at least stop and think and be a little more mindful with their purchases.
And how did your personal experiences kind of shape your concept and ideas about things like overconsumption and even mental health challenges? Did that shape you in any way, the person that you are?
Absolutely. I come at this from my own personal experiences with overconsumption. I would say, for me, it started when I was fresh out of college. I had a job that I wasn't particularly happy in, and I would find myself, wanting to treat myself with a little retail therapy, which is something that we joke a lot about, but I do think has become a mindset for a lot of people where if you're unhappy with something, a little retail therapy might make things better. And, what became a shopping trip, maybe once a week was turning into several times a week. And as we all know, that can lead to financial strain, which can also then in turn lead to other problems in your life too. And ultimately, I would say that I learned that shopping isn't a hobby. It's really something that you should do minimally and just when you need to do it, essentially. And that there's a lot of other better ways to spend your time, that hopefully better enrich your life. too.
Yes, yes. And I'm curious about how you actually go about this, Diana. How on social media do you portray this and get the message across? Do you use clips? Are you doing skits? Or are you speaking to, I guess, your followers? Or how are you getting the message across?
So primarily what I do is I will see a video on my For You page of TikTok, and it might be something where, someone's showing off like a huge shopping haul, or maybe they're just walking around a store and kind of tossing things into their cart. And I will react to that. So it's my voice and image alongside the video, so people are seeing what I'm talking about, and then I kind of approach it with humor, because I think the other part of all of this is we've often been shamed a little bit too much with, like, in terms of how we're like, what are you doing to help the environment and that type of thing. And I find that if you can approach things with a bit of humor, that goes a long ways. And people have told me, like, in comments and DMs, that they can hear my voice inside their head saying garbage when they're at the store.
Really, really. And so speaking of garbage, you have a series called, I believe, the Garbage Haul series, where you kind of humorously critique overconsumption. So if you can kind of describe it for our listeners, because very much, we're on radio, although we are streaming on YouTube right now. How would you describe this?
Well, I would describe it as, I'll use one of my favorite examples, which is, people are obsessed with Stanley Cups right now. And you often see people where they're adding like all these accessories to their Stanley Cups, and it's kind of looking a bit ridiculous. And I just, I had to kind of snap people out of that, mindset of like, the more I'm seeing this, the more I think it's normal type of thing, when really it's just like truly an influencer who's being paid to do this and to make it seem like it's, real life, when in fact it's just another advertisement.
Yes. And then I have the other one. I believe it's called like cleaning lasagna. Is that what it's called? Where you also go over certain like cleaning trends. So with that in mind, what do you think about how social media kind of popularizes specific consumption habits? And do you think that viewers can discern what is genuine versus what's really excessive these days?
I do think that people are starting to be able to like see when something's an advertisement. And I'm so excited about that, honestly, because, like, for example, the cleaning lasagna, you're seeing someone lay out like 9 sponges and, sprinkle it with all these different cleaning products. And it's really probably horrible for you. But this is also something it's really done to get a reaction out of you, I think. And there are a lot of ways in which corporations are trying to appeal to your emotions. And this one in particular, the cleaning lasagna, that's kind of in the category of rage bait, I would say, which is very common right now on social media, where it's kind of baiting you into giving a response, and then it's becoming more top of mind to you, maybe without you even realizing it.
Well, I certainly hope people do check your videos out. But, if you could give a simple way to get us started, because it's the holiday. It's a really, really long holiday here in Korea right now. Some people are getting 7, some even up to like 9 days, 6, 7, 8, 9 days off. And during these long periods of holiday, people do tend to consume a lot, buy a lot of things. So how can we put this into action to try to underconsume?
Well, I would say start by involving your family and friends, because I do think, we're often told just leave it in your cart, like just let it sit for a bit and like think about it for a week. But that's kind of hard to do in the moment. But if you have someone who's keeping you accountable, that makes it a little bit easier. And honestly, then like more people are involved in this too. So I think if you're struggling with the willpower of your purchasing decisions, involving other people is always a good idea.
Involving others. But I do find that like if I put something in my cart, because I always tell myself, okay, I'm going to put it in my cart and at least wait a minimum of 5 days. This is just me personally. And then I kind of forget about it if it's not that important. But if it's like still there, like after 5 days, I tell myself, and I kind of try to weigh all my options again. Is this the best, value for do I really need it versus do I want it? And then I tell myself, wait 2 more days. So I try to wait at least like 7 days before I make any type of, substantial purchase. So I don't know. Am I doing things? Is that an okay way to do it also?
I think it is, absolutely. And honestly, that's a very mindful way of doing it. You're giving your mind a little break from that instantaneous like add to cart purchase thing that so many apps try to get us to do.
Right.
And just slowing down a little bit is great for your consumption habits.
Right. And lastly, I kind of felt also when I put something in my cart and like that pop-up, that reminder like pops up, to me, it was kind of a turnoff. Like, oh, like you're really trying to bait me into buying this. So for me, it was kind of like working in reverse, the opposite of I think what the company was trying to do. But that's obviously just for me. So any last words that you want to share with our listeners before I let you go?
Well, I completely agree with you on that too. It usually does the opposite for me. And yeah, the more informed you are on when something's an advertisement, I think that helps alongside that kind of in a similar way too, of just like, oh, they're really trying to get me to buy this. So just keep that in mind when you're on social media also.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you so much for your time and explaining what this whole trend is. Take care and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Once again, everybody, we talked about underconsumption core. So in Korean, 저소비 core. But what we talked about, what we tried to focus on is this whole idea is, yes, especially during a long holiday like this, it's very easy to just whip out the credit card or buy something online. Just generally every day, it's so easy these days with a swipe, one click. But the whole idea behind underconsumption core is to really think about repurposing, reusing, and enjoying what you already have and to think twice, even 3 times before you purchase anything new and really ask yourself, do I need this versus do I want this? We may want a lot of things, but do we really need that item is what we're talking about. So thanks for tuning into our special interview. We're going to take a little breather. How about this? Python by GOT7 as requested by Leslie.
Rainbow roses, fancy eyes 녹아내려 inside your eyes 현실 같은 꿈의 sight Feelings drifting like the tide I left my guard down for a minute I never play with feelings but I thought you were committed The way that I'm addicted is specific It's your vibe, it's your mind, it's the things I can't describe I've been running backwards like a marathon 모든 순간 속에 네가 있어 제어할 수 없지 날개 그린 감동만이 자꾸 멋대로 No I know I'm a icon Push me with the lights on But she got a hold on me like a python I don't wanna lose her Cause she was my future Shot to the chest I was falling for the shooter all of my feelings up under the rug Torn the world but I'm missing the one who held it down Music's helping venting now Broken glass I'm bleeding out Overseas I'm sailing out Private planes, I got taste I got 7 golden rings My accountant call me up Set the money, stack the space What a snake, with them eyes I won't even try to lie I wish I could let you go I wish I could say goodbye I've been running backwards like a marathon 모든 순간 속에 네가 있어 제어할 수 없지 날개 그린 감동만이 자꾸 멋대로
I know I'm a icon. Watch me with the lights on, but she got a hold on me like a python. I don't wanna lose her. Yeah, she was my future. Shot to the chest, I was falling for the shooter. I don't wanna have to let it go. I should move on, I know. I know I'm an icon. Now I've seen the lights up, but she got a hold on me like a python.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
It is now time for Business Perspectives. We have Bobby in the house. Good morning.
Good morning, Catherine. How are you?
I'm doing great. You're enjoying my little side story off air, right?
I love it. I
But
love these
we
stories.
can't mention. Yeah, we're a family show.
Yes, yes. Happy Lunar New Year, Catherine.
Yes. So how
What
will
a
we say
week.
it in Korean, Bobby? Let's check your Korean.
새해 복 많이 받으세요.
And?
건강하세요. I'm practicing.
She was like, and.
Yes, I'm programmed to say that now.
Right.
Oh boy, but it is great. I mean, I got here in record time. There's nobody out. It's awesome.
In the inner city, right?
Yes,
everybody's like on the expressway freeway going to their
Oh
hometown.
yes, that's right. I'm
Right.
not those folks, but within the city here.
Right. I mean, yes.
But it was funny.
good.
I was at the restaurant early this morning.
Yes.
Probably around 5:30, and a family of 4 just arrived and like, oh, we just came from Seoul. I'm like, holy.
At 4:30?
No, 5:30.
5:30.
Yes, came in for a meal because they just got here.
They
So I
wanted
was-
to beat traffic.
Yeah. So I was thinking about it. I go, you must have left around 1 a.m.
Right.
Or midnight.
Midnight. Right past midnight.
Kudos to them, man.
Yes. I know a lot of people are out on the roads. Be
Yes,
careful
be
out there.
careful, yes. A little slick.
What are we talking about today?
All right, so it is the Lunar New Year week.
It is.
So that is a topic that we're going to talk about.
Okay.
And it's the year of the snake.
It is a blue snake.
The blue snake. So it symbolizes wisdom, health, vitality, and good fortune.
Yes.
So we're looking forward to a good year ahead.
Indeed.
And what a great way to start with this temporary holiday day. So it should be a great week. So let's highlight with some of our waivers out there some of the impacts financially or economically of this Lunar New Year holiday.
Indeed. Okay,
So-
let's get to it.
The Lunar New Year holiday, which is also known as the Spring Festival,
Right.
which is interesting because it's technically still the winter, has significant economic and financial impacts across various regions as well as industries. Also, on a personal level, from a personal consumer level,
Right.
individuals often experience a surge in expenses. Why? Because of travel, gifts, and overall festive celebrations.
That's right.
Right? So again, a lot of time for folks to go back to their hometown, celebrate with family and friends, and you could just imagine those extra expenses, right? Especially around transportation, accommodations, and food. Here's a question I have, especially around food. I know also the gift giving. Some of the money is spent on gift sets.
Yes. And the thing is, we just had an interview about underconsumption. Then, but however,
Yes.
you're just reporting on the information. So don't get mad at Bobby, right?
Yes, please.
Because he's just reporting on what what we are doing, right?
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
yes.
What's happening? That's it. So I have a question for you. Like because I was pleasantly surprised in terms of gift sets when I first came here, right? Because I was blown away by how many different types of gift sets. So, we see food gift sets, like tuna gift sets, stuff
Right.
like that, right? Fruit. meat.
The ham?
The ham.
You can't say the brand name.
Yes. Nuts, like like for healthiness, like ginseng gift sets, right? Also like oil, like sesame seed oil gift sets, right? So I was...
When I first saw the oil, when I first came to Korea, what did you think, Bobby?
I was like, wait a minute. We have a lot at home. I was like, wait, what am I going to do with all this?
I thought it was like the fruit cake.
Oh,
you know, the fruit cake. Like, do you not like me? Like, what did I do wrong?
Well, that's what I thought at first when I saw the ham gift set. I'm like, who's carrying a briefcase of ham, right? That's what I first thought, right? But then that's actually, I should be very thankful.
Yes.
And now I come to appreciate it. Like,
exactly,
yes,
right?
let me get one of those this year.
No, you and I both were like, I was like, 나 싫어, 왜 기름을 왜 주시? But now I get it.
But now I look forward to walking into some of the big marts right before I see what's on display. So that's one of my to-dos.
Indeed.
All right, back to topic.
Yes.
Now, industries such as retail, hospitality, and transportation see a notable boost during this period, as expected. So retailers experience an increased sales as people shop for clothes, decorations, and gifts. In terms of hospitality, high occupancy rates in terms of hotels, right? Restaurants, cafes, and obviously transportation. Airlines, railways, huge demand. So,
right.
Now, from a consumer perspective, we're going to get to some numbers here. A lot of consumers spend on, like we talk about, food, groceries, clothing, apparel, gifts. I have a few countries listed here, and I'm going to go from how much on average consumers spend per country during this Lunar New Year holiday.
Right.
So from low to high, and I'm going to go from the high range. India.
Oh.
On average, each consumer spends about $250.
Okay.
Next up, Vietnam jumps up to a little bit more to $320
per person.
Per person.
Okay.
Malaysia.
Oh.
Yes. $420 per person. Japan jumps up a little bit more to $700 per person.
Where's Korea?
Korea comes next.
Oh, okay. Right here?
$800.
$800.
I'm like, holy
per
moly.
person?
Yes. Whoa.
많이 쓰네요.
Yeah. Singapore, $980.
Ooh.
Yes.
Almost $1,000 per person?
Yes. And in China, there's a range, but I'm going to give you the upper range, $1,400. I was like,
that's on the high end, right?
That's on the high end. I was like, whoa.
Wow.
My jaw just dropped.
Right.
I was like, whoa. In terms of, how much, like, food is the largest expense that people use. So when we go back to Malaysia, $420 on average, but of that, $270 is for food. So about 65%. So when we look at the different countries, all in about 50 to 60% is really related towards food. And let me tell you this. Now, when we look at the total amount of spend, I'll share with you. So Malaysia, over this holiday period, estimated $2.4 billion.
Ooh.
Yes.
Billion.
Billion. But Japan, 900 million.
Ooh.
Korea, $8 billion.
$8 billion?
Yes.
How do you go from 9 million?
900 million.
900 million from Japan?
Yes.
And then you jump to 8 billion
so that's how
in
much,
Korea?
Yes. So that's pretty.
Are we a land of overconsumption? I don't know.
No judging, please. No judging.
I mean, we're supposedly the land of the morning calm.
Yeah, that's
and,
right.
And overconsumption, apparently.
Did you see those gift sets?
Yes. Those are expensive, though.
Singapore at $1.5 billion.
Yes.
China. $150 billion.
스케일이 달라.
Yes, that's
$150 billion.
Way different.
Yeah.
So that's the numbers wise.
Yes.
In terms of overall travel, when we look at the volume of travel for this year in South Korea alone, estimated that more than 34 million people are expected to travel or abroad or within the country for this holiday. And this holiday spans from January 24th to February 2nd during that period.
Yes.
Right. Now, this is up 30% from last year. And
30%?
Yes. And it means that literally like 7 out of 10 people will be traveling during this holiday season.
Yes.
Now, the 30% increase, now take that in comparison because last year's travel period was 5 days.
That's true.
Okay, so now if you hook everything up
It's
and
like
look at
10 days.
9 days, but if you take that extra this Friday as well, that's the 10 days, right? Now, international travel estimates that 1.3 million folks will be traveling abroad this season.
Yes, yes.
Now, China, just a little comparison.
Just a comparison, because,
yes.
The scale is
150 billion, right?
Yeah.
Now, for this travel season, first of all, their travel season is defined as the 40 days, right? That's a long period.
Yes.
And folks have already been starting to travel a couple weeks ago, like January 14th. In terms of the number of trips, now that's how it's equated, a total of 9 billion trips that they're estimating for this season.
9 billion trips.
Train alone, 510 million trips. Air, 90 million trips. And the rest, vast majority, is by automobile.
Yes, but keep in mind, of course, they have how many people? What's the population in China these days?
For 1 billion people, yes.
Right.
In terms of, so that's a lot. In terms of some major brands, right? So they get into the mix too. So a lot of Lunar New Year inspired campaigns like from the likes of Tommy Hilfiger, Sephora, Burberry, Ralph Lauren, Gucci, to name a few.
Yes.
Now this year, Nike has the Year of the Snake campaign.
Oh, yeah, I saw this one.
Oh, yeah, which features snake-inspired designs, and the Year of the Mamba series.
Kobe Bryant.
I was thinking that's. So blending Kobe Bryant's Mamba mentality with snake scale motifs and a satin jacket embroidered with the snake around 5 championship rings, paying homage to Kobe's legacy.
That's right.
As the Black Mamba.
Indeed. Yes, he's the original Mamba. Well, thank you for going over all the information. But what's the phrase of the week for this week?
All right, so as it's the Lunar New Year, phrase of the week, it's a clean slate. So with the new year, I feel like it's appropriate as it means a fresh start or a new beginning. So as we get ready to celebrate the Year of the Snake, and hopefully we have some downtime this week, spending some time with friends and family. And despite all these activities going around us, I want to remind us that it's a new year ahead with many possibilities. So hopefully we can keep this in mind and take a look back and ponder on some of our successes and maybe on some not so great moments and take some of these learnings to start anew on this new Lunar New Year.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And of course, we wish you nothing but the best as well, you and your loved ones. We'll check in with you real soon, Bobby.
Thank you. Have a great week, everyone.
All right, everybody. It's time to wrap up today's broadcast. However, for the next 3 days, amazing special editions of Morning Wave and Busan are in store for you. We're going to end it with this one, Uptown Funk by Mark Ronson, featuring Bruno Mars. Happy Lunar New Year, everybody. Bye-bye.
This one for them hood girls, them good girls, straight masterpieces. Stylin', wildin', living it up in the city. Got Chuck's on with Saint Laurent. Gotta kiss myself, I'm so pretty. I'm too hot. Call the police and the fireman, I'm too hot. Call the bag and wanna retire, man, I'm too hot. Say my name, you know who I am, I'm too hot. And my band about that money, break it down. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Saturday night and we in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch. Come on. Don't believe me, just watch. 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 Hey, oh! Stop. Wait a minute. Fill my cup, put some nigga in it. Take a sip, sign the check. Julio, get the stretch. Right to Harlem, Hollywood, Jackson, Mississippi. If we show up, we gon' show out. Smoother than a fresh drop skipping. I'm too hot. Call the police and the fireman, I'm too hot. Call the dragon, wanna retire, man, I'm too hot. Say my name, you know who I am, I'm too hot. And my band bout that money, break it down. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Cause Uptown